Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolf Pit with another episode of What Are We Eating? Today I'm going to be trying two different versions of Spotted Dick in a can. I know, that's a weird name for something you put in your mouth and eat, isn't it? Well, maybe not for some people. You just never know nowadays. Wasn't there a famous entertainer once accused of having a spotted Richard? Anyways, Spotted Dick, or as more recently not as humorously termed, Spotted Richard,
Boogeyman!
due to political correctness, was created in the UK in the 19th century and is made from a flat sheet of suet pastry, then sprinkled with dry fruit, which is then rolled up into a circular pudding. I find it odd that they call it a pudding. Let's try doing that with some Jell-O pudding and see how that turns out. But it's also called a sponge, which I think is more appropriate since it's more like a cake than a pudding. At least by what we consider pudding here in the US. Spotted Dick is often served with custard, but not all the time. And unfortunately, my lame ass totally forgot about the custard, so I won't be enjoying custard with my Spotted Dick. But I do love a good custard, and I can't imagine how tasty it would be on a steaming hot Spotted Dick pudding sponge. Yumbo! The two cans of Spotted Dick I have are Goblin Spotted Dick Pudding and Simpson Spotted Dick Sponge. Let's go over the Simpsons first, and they describe it as premium quality Spotted Dick Sponge, which is a lightly spiced sponge pudding with sultanas. Now I'm really confused. Sponge pudding. Is it a sponge? Or is it pudding? You can't have your pudding if you don't eat your meat! Now for the ingredients, and the first thing I see is the controversial palm oil. But I also see rapeseed oil, which I've seen a lot of comments and questions about what is rapeseed oil. I didn't really know what rapeseed oil was, so I did a little bit of research and I found out rapeseed oil and canola oil both come from the seeds from the bright yellow flowers from the cabbage and mustard family. However, they're genetically different, and canola oil is basically rapeseed oil with most of the uric acid removed through the plant breeding process, which removes almost all the uric acid. But like I said before, I'm no expert or a doctor. I just play one on TV sometimes. So I'm just going by the information on the internet because after all, everything we read on the internet is true. Right? They say there's 3 servings per container, but unless it's as dense as your grandmother's fruitcake or swells up like Chris Christie's cankles at a breakfast buffet, it's going to be hard to get 3 servings out of this can. Per serving, there's 330 calories, 16 grams of total fat, 6 grams of saturated fat, 0 grams of trans fat, 10 milligrams of cholesterol, 170 milligrams of sodium, 43 grams of total carbohydrates, 2 grams of dietary fiber, 24 grams of sugars, and 3 grams of protein. Now for the Goblin Spotted Dick Pudding. No mention of sponge here. I meant to mention what sultanas were before if you didn't already know. They're simply small golden seedless raisins. Also, I see a lot more seasonings in here than I did in The Simpsons, like coriander, ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, and something very interesting, fennel. Now I think the way Goblin breaks the nutrition facts down makes more sense. They do it by 100 grams, which would equal approximately 3 servings, and by a more realistic half-can serving of 145 grams. So I'm going to do the 100 gram numbers to compare them to The Simpsons. Per 100 gram serving, there's 345 calories, 17.8 grams of total fat, 6.1 grams of saturated fat, 0 trans fat, 42.8 grams of total carbohydrates, 22.9 grams of sugars, 1.7 grams of fiber, 3.3 grams of protein, and 0.2 grams of salt, which converts to 77.6 milligrams of sodium. Both cans have the same heating instructions, and you can either heat in the microwave or the stovetop, better known in the UK as the hob, which is the way I'm going to do it. The first thing you need to do is pierce a hole in the top of the can. Since the labels are going to come off in the water, I'm going to go ahead and peel them off. And then so I can tell which one is which, I'm going to poke one hole in the Goblin and an extra small hole in the Simpsons. Now put the pans in a pot of water with enough water to cover the cans by about 3/4 of the way. and then bring it to a boil. And watch the cans start to dance. And I mean really, they'll start to dance. See, I told you, look at those dancing cans. Hey, I used to know a stripper named Dancing Cans. Oh, never mind, that wasn't her name, that was her act. Now once the water comes up to a boil, reduce the heat and let them simmer for 40 minutes. And you want to keep an eye on your water. If it gets down to about half, you want to add a little bit more water. After simmering for 40 minutes on the hob, our spotted dick is done. This is the one with 2 holes, so I know this one's a Simpson spotted dick. Per the instructions on the can, I was supposed to very carefully open it with a towel over top while using a can opener. Which is what I did. And to be cautious of the hot sauce. But I didn't see any sauce, so at this point, I was assuming the scalding hot sauce was on the bottom. So I took a knife and ran it around the edges, which it didn't say to do, and I'm not even sure it was really necessary. But it came out super easy. But there was no sauce. I'm not sure what scalding hot sauce they were talking about. It certainly smelled really good, and it looked like a carrot or a spice cake. If you get really close to the screen right now and hold the control key down, you can smell it.
Ah! Boogeyman!
Now let's cut into our spotted dick and see what it tastes like. Now those are some words I never thought I'd hear come out of my mouth. At this point, I was starting to drool like Homer Simpson. I mean, it smelled and looked good. And then I took a bite, and you would think it would be dense and heavy being in a can, but it wasn't. It was nice and light and airy and absolutely delicious. I'd say it was either carrot cake or spice cake. Now let's try the Goblin Spotted Dick. And it looks pretty much the same as the Simpsons. And again, it doesn't say to do it, but I'm going to run a knife around it anyway. And the Goblin brand didn't mention anything about sauce. And once again, it slid out with ease. Ah, I see you. Your face is on the screen and your fingers on the control key again. You want to smell it, don't you? So let's cut into it and give it a try. Yeah, they pretty much look identical. That is until you open them up. The sultanas in this are much darker. They're not so golden raisins. And again, it was nice and moist, it smelled great, but it wasn't as airy as the Simpsons. But it still wasn't real dense like you would think it would be out of a can. And it's delicious too, but it's not as good as the Simpsons. This one has a great flavor, but the Simpsons had a fantastic flavor, and lots of it. You can't really go wrong with either one of these. I would certainly eat them both again. Personally, I couldn't find anything wrong with them that I didn't like, and I think if I was a bigger sweet eater, I would have liked them even more. But I don't eat a lot of sweets or desserts. But even with that said, this is the best spotted dick I've ever had. Wait a minute, it's the only spotted dick I've ever had. I'm gonna give the Simpson spotted dick a 9 out of 10, and the Goblin spotted dick an 8 out of 10. I think the Simpsons had a better flavor and it was a little bit lighter. If you'd like to help support the Wolf Pit, please consider being a patron. You can pledge as little as $1 a month, that's only $12 for the whole year. Or you can pledge more, that's up to you. Either way, every little bit is appreciated and helps me produce more high quality videos more often for you, the people. Thank you all very much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.